Hello! Black History Month is a commemoration, vocab word, for Black activists, another vocab word,
who took their time out to go fight for what they feel is right. Like
Martin Luther King had a speech that violence is not the answer and no segregation.
We celebrate Black people that helped us change history.
It reminds us to be strong, even in politics. Oi.
What matters is what's inside of you and how you act to other people.
Doesn't matter if you're Black, if you're white, you should always celebrate it because you know the struggles Black leaders went through in order for you to be here right now.
Even though we may have the different skin color, we're still the same type of people, no matter what.
And a lot of people, they don't see me for who I am. They see my outside appearance, but they don't see what I have on the inside.
It's very hard to grow up knowing that you're Black and you have a lot of personal prejudice against you.
I see it on the TV and I'm like, is that going to happen to my brother? Is that going to happen to my dad? I always have that in the back of my mind every time that I'm home and they're not home.
Black history is important to me because I have to remember where I came from and I have to remember who came before me.
Because you have to look at the things that Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Malcolm X did for us Black people, so people can't treat us unfairly because they think some type of belief.
Because we are all people and you need to stand up for our rights.
There's still discrimination. There's still discrimination in all parts of the world, in all parts of the United States. We should still fight for what we believe in. We should still fight for getting what's right.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Daryl Moss. Here with the Young Scholars, the virtual Young Scholars Academy, and today we have a number of young scholars who are going to share with you. They're going to read with you, talk with you, and engage you. So we strongly encourage you to wake up all your babies, wake everybody up in the house, get in front of your computer screen, and treat this the same way you would the old Saturday morning cartoons. So at this time, I'm going to introduce you to our Executive Administrator. Her name is Miss Audera. Good morning. Rise and shine. You are on mute.
Great rising. How's everyone doing?
Doing good.
That's
Great.
Good. That's good. My name is Miss Audie. I am the director, Academy Director of Young Scholars, and I'm just happy to be here this morning. I'm happy to see all your faces. I'm really excited to hear all of your stories. Young Scholars Academy is a youth enrichment program. We like to meet on Saturdays at 9 o'clock. We like to share information on different, curriculum, different academic tips, advice for our students to help them through their schooling and things like that, and just connecting. So I'm really happy to be here this morning and to hear all of you read.
Awesome. Mr. Rob, anything you'd like to share before we get started?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Young Scholars. Just wanted to remind everybody that the Young Scholars Academy we're going in on 6 years in running, and the focus is on Black history and Black curriculum. And with the videos that we played before we got started, it really showcases the need that we educate our community and educate our people, because the education, when it surrounds Black history, tends to be inaccurate and tends to follow a certain narrative. So we need to make sure that we're educating our kids, educating ourselves as adults, because there's things that I learn every day that I didn't know, that I would know if Black history was a standard curriculum in all school systems across the country. But before we get started with our brilliant and very precocious young scholars and their reading, I wanted to share something with you folks. Before COVID, I'm a comic book reader, for those that don't know, and I attend a lot of the Comic Cons in the area, whether they're small, like Connecticut is a small Comic Con, Then you have the New York Comic Con, which is a pretty big one, and Boston Comic Con. So as I started, I went to the Boston Comic Con a few years ago, and there was a Black comic book writer and illustrator, and his name was Will Wiggins, and he also goes by Black Oni, and you can find him at blackonibblog.com. That's BLACKONIBLOG.com. So this was one of his comic books that he created, if anyone can see that, and I had him sign it. And also another thing I bought from him was art by Marcus Williams, a Black artist and illustrator, and he just took a lot of the superheroes that we see regularly in movies and on TV. And a pretty unknown fact, a lot of Black superheroes, superheroes were based off of Black mythology, and a lot of people don't realize that. And some of the story arcs were based on Black happenings in society. When you look at the X-Men, Magneto, and the battle between Magneto and Charles Xavier in terms of their philosophies, Charles Xavier was based off of Martin Luther King Jr., and Magneto was kind of framed around Malcolm X. But if you kind of take a look at some of the art in here, this fantastic. There's always been Black artists and comic book writers, but they've tended to be in the background, but more and more of them are starting to come out in the forefront. And they still tend to be pretty much independent. But that's just wanted to share that with everybody. So that's what I got to say. So let's get started.
You learn something new every week.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Rob. I really like the Tuskegee Airs one. That looks really...
Yeah, and I have another one based off of Black Sherlock Holmes and Watson. It's around here somewhere. And then I'm reading this one, Black Panther.
Okay.
Nice. Awesome.
So basically what you're saying is you're never too old to stop reading comics.
Nope, and you know what's funny is I used to read them as a kid, and I got back into comics as a trick to get my kids when they were younger to read more, because we all like to see the pictures and illustrations. So as I'm getting these comic books and hand them to the kids so they can read more, I started getting back into it and kind of revived my passion for comic books. I'm tricking them, I tricked myself.
Do any of our scholars like to read? Do any of the scholars like to read comic books?
Oh, okay. Which ones do you read?
I read more of like graphic novels because I'm not really into like action and stuff like that, superheroes. So I read more of like graphic novels and like comics, like chapter books type of comics.
Okay.
I've read all of the Babysitters Club comics. And
nice.
I'm working on, I read New Kid, and then I'm working on a new series.
Okay, good. Anybody have any questions regarding what I just showed up on the screen? I think it's important to support our Black comic book writers and illustrators. So who's going up first? Who do you have going up first, Miss Audi? You're on speaker.
Up first, we have Miran.
Okay.
Oh, she's gonna finish her story from last week, the one that she wrote.
Hoo-hoo.
I've been waiting for this. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Are you ready, Miran?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a story here, but the problem is I don't remember what part I stopped at.
Can anyone recall, or maybe you can read a paragraph, like Read the last. I don't even know. What do you guys think is a great suggestion?
Go back a page from where you think you stopped.
That's what I was trying to say. Perfect.
Yep. Go back a page from
Okay,
where you
then
think you stopped and start there.
Okay, so last I thought that we saw the Mia's call with Lindy. And yeah, I'm just gonna read the last 2 pieces of dialogue. So this is basically about a girl right now. Her name is Lindy, and she's like a little artist. She's helping this boy named Simon. So just a quick recap or summary.
Yep.
So her best friend Mia was calling her now. Hey Mia, Lindy said. Hey Lynn, have you heard about the art competition? Mia asked. Yep, and I'm gonna have someone named Simon with art. He says he lacks art, but I doubt it, Lindy said. Well, Lindy, you are the best friend anyone can ask for, and it's true. You're sweeter than anything, Mia said. Well, I have to go. You know how Adam is. Little brothers these days. Bye. Bye, Lindy said. She ended the call. Rainy, wash your face. It's all full of sticky syrup, Papa said. Okay, Papa. Lindy giggled and walking to the bathroom. She felt very sticky everywhere near her face. Whoosh, 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 the water went. It was wild, Lindy thought. She then thought of her mom, and her face had caramel all over it. As she sighed, she said softly, Mom, you're inspiring and a great mama when I needed you. Thank you. Then she shouted, Bye, Papa. I'll be back in a few minutes. Father heard her and shouted back loudly, Okay, stay safe. Bye, sweetie. Then she waited until Simon finally arrived. Sorry I'm late, he said while catching his breath. It's fine. Let's go to my house, Lindy said excitedly. She skipped gracefully. Simon smiled. I'm back, Papa. Hello, sweetly. Who's that boy, Lindy? Asked Papa. Hello, Lindy's father. My name is Simon. Nice to meet you, Simon said. Well, if any of you need anything, come tell me. Let's go, Lindy said. She pulled Simon. They went upstairs fast. I can walk, you know, Simon said. Then why didn't you? Lindy joked. I'll get supplies so we can start practicing art. Okay, Simon said. She went to her coloring closet. Lindy thought she gathered up the supplies. If Mom were here, Simon would learn in a day or 2. But now it took weeks, Lindy thought. Did you get the materials, Lindy? Simon asked. Yep, Lindy said in a hurry as she sat down with Simon. First, grab a pencil, Lindy told him, and they both grabbed a pencil. Then what you want to do is outline your drawing lightly in pencil so you can erase the mistake after. Simon made a shark outline, but made a mistake with a fin. Simon erased the mistake easily and made a better fin. Next, make what you outline a darker pencil formation or use a darker color for outline. As they both drew, Simon felt his drawing good outline. Sure, he drew, while Lindy's ice cream looked great. If you want to add more detail, you can. Or if you want to, or just color it. Every day they would make different drawings, and Simon learned many art skills. He got better and better each day. On Friday morning, everyone got ready for school. Lindy and Simon met in front of the school every day. Hey, chuckling, Simon joked. For the last time, it's Lindy, she told him. Let's go, Lindy said. Lindy and Simon were great friends for just a few days. They joked, laughed, and had lots of fun together. See you at lunch, Lindy. Simon had to be kidding. Well, buy sour sauce, Lindy said to Simon. Simon was doing his reading test, thinking about lunch while a tasty pizza with extra pepperoni and sausage and seeing Lindy. Class was super boring to him. Lindy was running a lot in gym and was sweating like she was in a desert. She needed some water. As she was drinking from a water fountain, she saw a classroom door next to her. It was reading class, and Simon had reading class during that time. As she thought about how Simon was doing on his reading test. She wished him luck and went back to class and started running more laps. She had 5 to go. After hours of never-ending math, loads of reading tests, and running PE, it was finally lunchtime. Lindy rushed as fast as she could wait in the protracted line for pizza. Simon walked. Then Simon and Lindy saw each other. Hey, Ben, what pizza did you get? Simon asked Lindy. I got the warm, yummy, and best pizza ever. Cheese, she answered him. I think sauce and pepperoni is the best. It's fine though. Everyone has different options. How'd you go on the reading test? Lindy asked. Reading isn't my thing. I don't understand what fragment is. I don't know where to use similes. It's complicated. Well, I don't know where to use similes like you, and where to use dialogue. But fragments aren't complicated. If you need help, I can always help you. Lindy said. I can help you with dialogue, Lindy, Simon said. Okay, don't forget the art contest tomorrow, Simon, and I'll see you there, Lindy said. Don't forget your supplies, Simon added. So, I think I'm going to stop there, and I'll actually get a reminder. So that's all.
Nice. Thank you, Miran.
Does anyone have any questions for Miran? So you still have some more of the story left, right?
Yeah, it's actually pretty long.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely come back next week and continue on. Now, did you complete your story, or are you still working on it?
Yes, it's done.
It's done. Okay. Nice. Now, you gonna put it on your YouTube channel?
I'm thinking about that.
Okay, you definitely should. The more content, the better. Great job. Thank you for sharing.
Nice. Awesome. Okay, next up we have Aaliyah.
I'm going to be reading the same book that I read last Saturday with The Might of Angels. This morning when I sat down, Daddy took a break from his breakfast reading. The little smile playing in his eyes told me he had a surprise brewing. He studied me for a long time. Happy birthday, Donnie. Then he pushed the New York paper under my nose. Here, child. He was eager to show me the front page head clip. Clip this for your new diary. I looked carefully. Daddy told me to read what I saw. He said, speak loud enough to scare some pigeons. I read slowly, pressing each word into the warm morning air. Seems Mama already knew the news. It didn't take her but a minute to hand me a pair of scissors from her sewing bin and a tin of paste from her craft bin. Make your birthday book look pretty, Goober said. Nobody even had to tell me what to do. I knew right off why those scissors and paste brush were suddenly in my hands. I have glued carefully the headline right here as a memory of the day I turned 12. High Court bans school segregation. 9-0. Decision grants time to comply. Washington, May 17th. Wednesday, May 19th, 1957. Diary book. I want to tell you everything I could write all night about today, but Mama has already given me 2 warnings. Donnie, lights off. It's past 9 o'clock. At school, kids and teachers were talking about the integration and what it said that in the New York paper. I even heard our principal, Mr. Cowan, say, an ice storm will fall in the tropics before any white folks let us into their schools. I could write more, but Mama's calling for the 3rd time. Donnie, turn your light off. I'll put you under my pillow from where I first found you. You can share the spot of my birthday candle, the last one to lose its flame from my blowing. Mama says the final candle to go out is the one that makes your wish come true. I'll be back at you soon, diary book. Catch you during the in-between. Thursday, May 20th, 1954. Diary book. Today, Yolanda and me didn't come right home after school like we were supposed to. I mean, this is my birthday week, and I did make a wish on the candles Mama had put on the cake at supper on Tuesday. I didn't need those candles for wishing, though. I've had the same wish for as long as I can remember, to see the inside of Pretty Man Coburn, Hadley's white school. Mama and Daddy told me time and time again that I'm never allowed to go to the white part of town without them. Daddy once said, if I ever get the wind to go over there, your behind will ever wonder if it can grow skin again. But I wasn't really going to be in the white part of town. I was just passing by the white part of town so I could see Pretty Man. Yolanda and me took the long way home. Really, it wasn't even on my way home. But since it was long, truth be told, since this is my diary, I can be honest. Pretty Man is on the way to the other side of Hadley, nowhere near to where I live. By walking the main streets, it takes just about 1 whole hour to walk 2 miles to Pretty Man from our neighborhood. It's less than half that time when you take shortcuts. Even though this was the long way to get home, the shortest way to get to Pretty Man. It was the shortest way to get to Pretty Man. Yolanda and I walked along Weedle Lane, which brought us through piney woods up behind Pretty Man, where the sports field meets the railroad tracks. The grass is high and yellow there, and thick with weeds. I had my pogo stick stretched across the back of my shoulder. My arms hung over each end. I nudged Yolanda. Look at that baseball field, I said. It's like something from a movie, Yolanda said. I blinked. They even have a dugout and padded bases, Yolanda said. We stayed low in the grass. I saw a girl come out from Pretty Man's back door and unlatch the bell from the hook on the school's bricks. She looked to be my same age. She walked around the side of the building to the front, holding the bell. The bell was no bigger than a teacup, but when she waved it, it sure clanged loudly. That bell sound was as beautiful as the sight of the baseball field. You hear that, Donnie? They must ring that same bell when you step off a cloud to enter heaven, I said. Saturday, May 22nd, 1954. I'm awake as a howdy owl on this black night, thinking about Pretty Man's baseball field. I've been trying to sleep over and over. I keep seeing the same moving picture in my mind. Me, Donnie Ray, rounding the bases on Pretty Man's baseball diamond. Can you imagine anything better? I wouldn't be surprised if those bases were made of real diamonds. Here are a few more things I want to write about me, to make this diary truly mine. Folks call me Hey Girl or Coal Catcher. That's the same thing as calling me a tomboy. People can say what they want. They're mostly right in thinking that I'm not scared of getting dirty. Hay and coal don't bother me. Neither do dirt, night crawlers, bugs, and even the smell of rotten eggs. Running fast and hard makes me happier than a grasshopper at a jump rope contest. And I swim as good as any frog. I'm nimble too. I can wrestle a knot free from a tangle of shoelaces, trap a moth by its wings with 2 of my fingers, and clear the hedge that separates our yards from Merida Street, where we live. I've never liked dresses or shoes that shine, even if I were to meet President Dwight D. Eisenhower himself. I'd like to show up to shake his hand in downgrades and keds. Don't stick me in skirts or anything with a ruffle, except on Sundays, when Mama insists that I look correct for church. As much as it hurts me to wear one of those 3 dresses or 2 skirts that I own, I do sometimes for Mama and Daddy and for Goober, who likes to say, dresses show your strong ankles, Donnie, which is really correct, is what suits a person. And what suits me is playing baseball more than anything. I want to be a part of an all-American girls baseball league, a group of women baseball players, but there are no Negroes playing on one, not a single one. Someday I will write a letter to Jackie Robinson, the second baseman for Brooklyn Dodgers, the first Negro baseball player in the modern major leagues, to ask him to see if I can do it. If anybody would be able to know how to break in, Jackie would. Used to be the major leagues baseball didn't allow colored players. Jackie changed all of that. He stepped over the folks that called the colored what folks called the color line and added some color to the major leagues. Anyway, for now, I have to keep batting in the Orms pasture down by past Yolanda's house, at the place where Everett Street meets up with Landon Avenue. That's all I'm reading today.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Great
So
job.
how many chapters is in that book, Aaliyah?
I think it's about 20 or 21, if I'm being honest. I'm not completely
Nice.
sure.
Nice. That's
That's a
awesome.
great story.
Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. Would anybody like to say anything about what Leah read? Miran?
Is she
Go ahead, honey.
basically writing her in her diary?
Yes, she is.
Do any of you guys have diaries? Is that an outdated thing, or is
No, I have one.
you have one?
Yeah,
Nice.
Do you have a lock on yours?
Have one too.
I wish I did.
Have one where I don't write in it.
Maybe you got to get one with a lock.
That's nice. I really like how she was saying about like, all right, I can be honest because this is my diary. You know,
Oh.
I think sometimes they're like maybe could be a little apprehensive or a little fearful to say what it is, how you feel, or maybe you might want to get it out on paper first, so that you can process your feelings and your emotions and then move forward, you know, opposed to being super impulsive and just like blowing up. It's like, oh, let me write about it. No one else can see this. This is my private, you know, this is my diaries or my feelings. Put it out on paper. So I thought that was really cool.
I think also too, based on what Miss Audi said, like if you're struggling with something or responding or reacting to somebody, if you write it in the diary, close it, and then the next day or so, or maybe within the next few hours or so, open it back up, and then you can kind of like maybe take more of an introspective look at like, all right, this is my raw feeling on this, but my response might have to be somewhat tempered. I think some of us, especially with emails, when you send emails, you can't like pull them back.
That's a good one.
Sometimes when you say something to somebody, you can't pull it back. Even after saying you're sorry, sometimes the words still linger and still sting. And even though you're sorry and you apologize and it's heartfelt, and the other person accepts it, sometimes depending on what's said or what's done, they don't really fully accept it. They're just being polite and accepting it. And write it in the diary. You can kind of go back and look at it and say, okay, you know what, that's a little harsh, or I need to change this approach or this wording, or I forgot to add this, or I need to say this. But it gives you an opportunity to kind of reflect on your words. For those who have diaries, do you do that? Do you kind of, employ that strategy? Or are you just writing in the diary?
I just come home from school or from whatever I was doing all day today, and I just write in my diary about what my day was about and anything I want to say. So I just write it down in my diary.
Okay.
Nice.
Good. Miss Audi, who's next?
Next up, we have Miss Amaya. Great rising, Amaya. You look nice and cozy with your robe on.
Before Amaya gets started, Ayana is not going to be joining us this morning, so she sends her regrets, and she says she would definitely be back next Saturday. She had to sign off. Okay.
Okay. We look forward to hearing from her next week.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Darrow. All
You're
right,
welcome.
Amaya, whenever you are ready.
Okay. I'm reading 2 chapters of Serena Says, chapter 6 and chapter 7.
Can you speak up, Amaya? Thank you, darling. Get the microphone more close to.
Okay. My mother said that 6th grade friendships change, and change was beyond our control, and we shouldn't take it personally. She said that the best thing that could happen to me was that I find out how to pick a project and stand on my own. I don't even know what she meant by that. I do stand on my own, and I had a perfectly good bird bath project, and now I don't. Malone got online and found some bird feeders made out of paper towel rolls and wooden spoons, which were totally lame. And I said thank you, but no thank you. Mom got online and found bird nests made from chocolate coated cornflakes with little chocolate covered almonds in, in them for eggs. Which, hello, also lame. People do those for Easter, not Christmas. Thanks, Mom, but no, she said, turning away from the picture on her phone. Well, that's all I've got, kid, Mom said, pulling on a white lab coat over her purple nursing scrubs. So I'm going to finish getting ready for work. You'll find something, Serena. I have faith in you. Oh, goody. Mom had faith in me. I didn't need faith. I needed a Winterfest project, like right now. Winterfest was only 8 weeks away. It was hopeless. I was never going to find anything. At least I had a new book bag. My BB, which is what I call my grandmother, sent it to me. Little present. Sent it to me as a little present. Since she heard I'd been sick so early in the school year. My bag was black with fat pink roses on it and 2 little outside pockets. So cute. And a little tiny mini backpack that fit inside. It was so cute, it almost made me a little less grumpy. Almost. After announcements Tuesday morning, Mr. Van reminded the class officers that there was going to be a meeting during lunch at the 11:50 bell. The 6 of us, our president, VP, treasurer, secretary, social secretary, and me, class ambassador, wandered out to grab extra snacks from the vending machine or lunch from the cafeteria, instead of finding a table with the rest of the mob of 6th graders. We trooped back into Mr. Van's room. I was already opening my zip bag of sliced apples as Eliana wheeled along next to me in her chair, telling me about the new graphic novel she just read. Then Eliana stopped. She pushed her glasses and frowned. Uh-oh. What? I asked, looking up. Leilani was already sitting at the table in the corner of the classroom, her mouth full of sandwich. Her eyes widened as she flushed as I stared at her. I crumpled my bag of apples in my fist. Well, this wasn't at all super awkward. I shifted my lunch bag and crossed my arms. Leilani, what are you doing here? Leilani chewed as fast as she could, holding up a hand for me to wait until she can speak. Finally, she choked down her last bite and stood, pushing back her straight black hair. Serena, you're here. Eliana and I looked at each other. I'd been back at school for now 4 days. Leilani waved her hand again. No, I mean, I thought you were sick again after all that coughing at assembly. I told Mr. Van an idea I had for a harvest party, and he called this meeting so I can tell everyone. And Leilani trailed off and shrugged, running her hand over her hair like she was flustered. Don't worry about that, Mr. Van said, rescuing her. Serena, come on and sit down. Leilani's got an exciting idea, and we've got room for both of our ambassadors in this meeting. Both of our ambassadors? Both as in 2? I looked at Eliana, but this time she was looking at her fingernails. Mr. Van, there's only one class ambassador, I reminded him. We can have 2, can't we? Mr. Van asked. He raised his eyebrows, sending me silent messages as the light above his head glinted off his bald spot. Mr. Van's eyebrows said, Say yes, Serena. Come sit down, Serena. Be a good sport, Serena. I wanted to. I wanted to be a good sport and do what Mr. Van wanted. But Leilani Camacho had already taken my spot as class ambassador once. Then she took my bird bath partner. She wasn't getting anything else. Not one thing. No, I said. The word dropped out of my mouth and plopped on the floor. Beside me, Eliana sucked in a breath. My face felt hot and tight. I felt too many feelings, and they all wanted to come out at once. No, Mr. Van repeated, a worried little line between his eyebrows. We can't have two ambassadors? Are you sure? I looked at Leilani, who was looking at the floor, twisting a hank of her hair into a rope. I looked at Mr. Van, who was leaning against his desk, his expression unhappy. Wait, this wasn't my fault. We didn't have two ambassadors. The class only voted for one. Wasn't Leilani going to say something? Wasn't Mr. Van going to do something? Why was everybody looking at me? I smelled hot food, and our class president, Eric Peterson, came up behind me carrying a cafeteria lunch of lasagna and French bread. He already had his baby carrots in his mouth like walrus tusks. I'm here. Let's get this party started, he said like he always did. But this time, nobody laughed. The moment stretched too tight like an over-flatted balloon. What did I miss? Eric asked, his blue eyes wide. What's going on? Well, Mr. Van began. I quit, I tried to say, but the balloon popped, and instead of words, I got tears ready to explode all over the place. I put my head down and got out of there. What's up, world? It's your girl Serena. Welcome back to my vlog. Today, let's check out what's in my bag. So this is my bag, which is technically a teensy backpack that fits into the big backpack that I take to school. It's actually a crossbody bag. But if you go like this, ta-da, new backpack. I know, cute, right? This sea turtle charm I got from when we went to Florida. I love it because sea turtles are my favorite thing after owls. Wait, no, actually after hedgehogs and tiny frogs. Anyway, moving on. When you open my bag, the first thing you see is my planner, which my mother gave me this year for the first day of school. I had to rip out pages, so there's nothing much written in it yet, except on the first page, where my mom wrote my name in all my classes. I think she thought I would write my homework assignments in here, but assignments are on Pegasus, our school message board. So, the pages I tore out just had some stuff I planned to do with JC, which is kind of not happening now because she's maybe too busy with other people. So, anyway, the next thing in my purse is my glasses case that holds my sunnies, which are super cute and very helpful to wear when I don't want people looking at me. Sunnies are very important if your eyes are red for any reason, like crying through most of lunch because someone thought they could roll up and take your class ambassador job. And everyone acted like that was just fine. Okay. So here in my first right zipper pocket is the space for my phone. I keep an extra FlexiPod in there to hold my phone, just in case I need to make a vlog real quick. Oh, and the second zipper on the right side has this little strippy bag, which is stuff for Lady Days. And before you say anything, fact. Lady Days happen to like half of the population. Second fact. Even if you're gender identified to not be in that half of the population, you still need to respect the Lady Days. There's nothing embarrassing about bodies and how they work. And everybody has blood, right? So today's Serena Says PSA. Lady Days are a thing. No shame, no shade, deal with it. Okay. Back to my bag. In my left zipper pocket is my hand sanitizer, which is lavender and smells amazing. There's my pack of tissues, which I used half of at lunch. There's a tinted lip balm with SPF and raspberry pink, and a compact mirror my Uncle Ron brought back for me from Scotland. I know, the Thinsel is adorable, even though he says he got it for me because I'm prickly, which whatever, Uncle Ron. Seriously? There's a little travel-sized deodorant for pit emergencies, my pick comb because you never, ever, ever, ever just brush natural curls. Ever. Unless you're using an old toothbrush and smoothing out your baby hairs. I think that's... No, wait. There's an extra scrunchie and a headband because big hair needs backup gear. And, oh, my lace headband. I thought I had lost it. Wow. Note to self, clean out purse more often. So, that's it. That's what's in Serena's bag. Tell me, people, what's in your bag? Am I missing something important here? Do you have a pack for lady days? Or heck, maybe you just have a bag for due days. What are due dates? What are due days? Serena says that what you carry tells people a lot about you. So make sure it's organized and keep it cute. That's my story, and I'm out. And yay, except for scratching my forehead and that weird face I made about Uncle Ron, this vlog was almost perfect. I think that I'm almost ready to start posting these. Chapter 7, Last Second Solutions. On Friday, just after the 7th graders introduced our guest speaker, our vice principal, Mrs. Harry, announced that she needed to see the following people after student assembly: Harrison Ballard, Cameron Jones, Serena St. John, Hyun Kim, Eliana Morez, Ali Leonard, and Santino Travaglia. I tried to concentrate on Mr. Anderson's talk about volunteering on the Wildlife Museum, but cut it. I wasn't sure what Mrs. Henry wanted, but I was pretty sure I wouldn't like it. Mrs. Harry is particular. She's stylish, like my BB. Mrs. Harrison always wears a suit and matching shoes, and she's always all in one color. And like my BB, she always has her reading glasses on the end of her nose, but she never looks through hers. She does stuff like using beets to make pink cupcake frosting instead of using a tiny drop of food coloring, because food coloring is terrible for you, and beets are good. She also brings her juicer to school during test week and hands out little paper cups of celery and carrot juice between classes. FYI, carrot juice tastes like what would happen if you let construction paper, white glue, and a lot of sugar soak together in a cup of water and then drink it. It's disgusting. I almost knew I probably wouldn't like whatever Mrs. Henry wanted for me because she wanted Harrison Baller too. Harrison is a lot. He's always been the biggest boy in our class, and coming back from this summer year, he's now 5'11". So he's big and tall and loud, with huge brown curls and bushy eyebrows and light brown skin. He wears plaid shirts every day and has been carrying a briefcase since the 2nd grade. He used to pick his nose, but now he just rubs his nose on his sleeves, which in my opinion is not any less gross. Harrison likes to lean his elbow on my head because he says I'm short little hobbit. Like those small, half-human people who lived underground in the Tolkien books my mom likes. Which, whatever. Not everyone could be a giant boy mutant. JC is just a little taller than I am, but Harrison never bothers her. JC says it's because Harrison loves me so much more. There's nothing in his briefcase but little pieces of paper with my name on him, she says. She saw them. That isn't funny. That's creepy. I hope JC's just kidding. Student assembly had barely ended before Harrison was standing in the aisle next to my seat. He stared down unexpectedly. Well, Hobbit. I'm not talking to you, Harrison, I mumbled, getting up. Harrison followed me in the aisle anyway. I didn't know you joined Student Senate. It took 4 steps before Harrison's words made it into my brain. What? Harrison loomed over me. Student Senate, he said, adding, "Man, you're short." "I am not short. I'm just not a mutant giant," I told him like I always do. "What do you mean, Student Senate?" Harrison peered into my eyes. And gently knocked his big knuckle fist against my forehead. "Hello, is anyone in there?" I ducked away, intending to return a fist in his squishy stomach with considering more force. But Mrs. Henry, ladies and gentlemen, in her zero-tolerance voice straightened me up fast. I jumped away from Harrison like he was on fire. Not that it made any difference, since he followed me down to the front of the auditorium and sat right next to me. Mrs. Henry listened as Santina called roll, declared that we had an aquarium, and sat back in her seat. Our vice principal looked at us over her gold-rimmed glasses. "Thank you, everyone. Serena, this is your first time serving with our Senate group, so I want you to especially make you welcome. This is a big responsibility, but I know you're up to it." Mrs. Henry gave me a pointy little smile, which probably meant that I should be quiet and nod. My hand raised without consulting my brain. What is it, Serena?" Mrs. Henry's brows raised. "Excuse me, Mrs. Henry, but I'm not on the Senate. I don't know." Mr. Van felt that since you've been such a big help as a class ambassador, you'd be a valuable addition to our Senate body. Or, which is more likely, Mr. Van was trying to make me feel better for letting Leilani take my job. My voice rose. "Mrs. Henry, I don't know anything about being a centaur. Mr. Van didn't even ask. Mrs. Henry cut in. "This is an opportunity, Serena, for a young lady like yourself to stand up and speak out. I know you can do it. If you have further questions, why don't you see me after this meeting? We only have a few minutes, and while this is not an official Senate session, the best thing you can do to learn about the things we do is just watch. All right?" But I swallowed the words, seeing the other students eyeing Mrs. Henry and me with nosy interest. Grinding my teeth, I gave in. Mrs. Henry, a short nod. "Thank you. Now let's hear how preparations are going for our red ribbon this week. Our red ribbon week this month. Mrs. Chairman, you have the floor." I ignored Santina as she talked, fuming. Mr. Van is not my favorite teacher anymore, and I don't like Mrs. Henry at all. Bridge Ogan has way too many special events. Everyone is so over Red Ribbon Week. Also, Student Senate is pointless. Last year, Falone helped revise the Bridge and Ogan Students' Constitution when she was in 7th grade. When she was a 7th grade centaur, she acted like having a constitution made a difference, when everyone knows that teachers and Mrs. Henry are the ones who make the rules. I hate it when teachers pretend that what kids want matters. Adults do not listen. And Serena, maybe you and Harrison can head up to the student participation subcommittee, Santina was saying. Allie had a great idea that we can run it like second spirit week with crazy sock days and stuff like that. Santina looked at me. Just brainstorm a week's worth of ideas and be ready to present them at the regular meeting. What? I was trying to figure out where it all went wrong. When the meeting was over, Harrison picked up his briefcase and walked out of the auditorium. "Wait," I blurted, hurrying after him. "I don't even know what a subcommittee is, and what is a quorum?" Harrison shook his head. "Serena," he said patiently, "the best thing you could do is learn about how we do things at Student Senate is just watch. All right?" I punched as fast as I could, but I still missed. Harrison's mutant giant laugh echoed down the hall.
All done? Nice.
Good job. Does anybody have any questions or commentary?
I do. I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed the story. I liked the part about what you carry with you, right? Like, what do you carry on your person? I think that's very important to think about as ladies. Ladies like to carry purses, right? Some guys like to carry bags and whatnot. Me personally, I carry my bag around and it has my iPad in it. It has like pens and pencils. Um, it has books. I always have books on me. I think it's important to always have like just some form of knowledge, you know. Um, and for us to even take it another step further, carrying books on us is just so important because it's something that we weren't always able to do. You know, we weren't always able to even just show that we knew how to read, that we were any type of smart, any, you know what I mean? So yeah, I like that part. And the book overall is cool. It's getting really interesting. How many chapters does that book have, Amaya? How many chapters does it have? And does anyone carry bags on you? Do you carry like books and stuff?
I do. I carry a small backpack with me, and I always put at least one book in it, just in case I get bored.
Nice. That's awesome.
Does fanny packs count? Because I had one in the 90s.
You can have a fanny pack, Rob. Yeah. You can have a
I had my Bieber in there.
Oh, okay.
Oh God.
That's so awesome. Yes, carry literature on you, right? You get bored and you just don't want to really talk. You don't really want to engage with folks. You just crack that book open and just read, and you're in your own world. That's a beautiful thing.
I'm not sure if everybody could see the comments, but you guys got a number of comments on your readings today and your stories. So great job, everybody. I was off screen watching and listening. Great job. I got 2 inbox messages. People are inquiring about getting their kids involved based on what they see you guys doing. So, great work. I'm really proud of you guys. Thank you.
You guys are leaders. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Every week, every Saturday, it's excerpts from original stories, or these chapter books that like just blow my mind. The way that you guys read, I think it's so good. As Mr. Darrell said, there are so many comments this morning about you all, about your reading, and just I'm very, very proud. You all should be as well. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. Anything else before we conclude? Oh, you have a book to read, Miss Audie?
I actually do.
Oh.
Okay, just double check it.
I'm done.
Gonna read.
Let It Shine.
Something from this book. Let It Shine: Stories of Black Women Freedom Fighters. Oh. Ida B. Wells. Do you guys know who she is? No? All right. When Ida B. Wells Barnett was a girl, she was what folks down Mississippi way call a woman child, a girl who had to grow up quickly because of hurt and hardship. Ida was born the eldest of 7 children to Jim and Lizzie Wells. Lizzie and Jim were firm believers in education. They taught Ida that schooling went hand in hand with success. Jim was a trustee at Shaw University, an institution founded in Holly Springs, Mississippi, by the Freedmen's Aid Society for the purpose of educating newly freed slaves of all ages. The school was later named Rust College. Lizzie and Ida attended classes together at Shaw. Even though Ida was younger than most of the students, she was smarter than many of them. She embraced her parents' appreciation for schooling and excelled at her studies. When Ida was 14, her mother and father and baby brother, Stanley, died of yellow fever, a nasty epidemic that raged through Mississippi, Tennessee, and Memphis. The neighbor folk friends of Ida's parents gathered to lend Ida a hand. They mapped out a plan to provide homes for each of the Welsh children, but Ida was determined to keep her family together. In response to the kind efforts made by her parents' friends, Ida said a gracious no thanks. To raise her family under one roof, young Ida would need to earn a solid living. She now had mouths to feed, bills to pay, and household chores that wouldn't quit. One caring couple, people called them Brother and Sister Miller, gave Ida the guidance she needed to make grown-up decisions about her future. The Millers encouraged Ida to take the local teaching certification examination, which would enable her to work as a school teacher. Ida knew she had the smarts to pass the exam, but she was still a child with pigtails and knee skirts. No school was going to hire a kid to head up a classroom. Well, Sister Miller fixed that. She combed out Ida's braids and swept her hair into a lady do, a prim, pretty bun that made Ida look older. Then Sister Miller altered the long skirted dresses that were hanging in the closet of Ida's mother. After Sister Miller put her sewing needle to work, Lizzie's dresses fit Ida perfectly. Ida passed the teacher's examination and was offered a job teaching in a one-room schoolhouse 6 miles from home. Ida's mule took Ida to and from work. Once Ida was teaching, nobody questioned her age. She carried herself like she was grown, and she had a ladylike way about her, even when she rode her mule. While Ida taught school, her grandmother Peggy came to stay with Ida's younger brothers and sisters. It pleased Ida that she was able to make her way in the world and that she could support her family. But then grandmother Peggy suffered a stroke. Now Ida had no choice but to split up her brothers and sisters. She and her youngest sisters, Lily and Annie, went to Memphis, Tennessee to live with their Aunt Franny. The other children stayed in Mississippi to live with their Aunt Belle. Ida was hired to teach in a country school in Woodstock, Tennessee. The job paid Ida a good salary, but Woodstock was 10 miles outside of Memphis, too far for a mule ride. So Ida rode a train to work. She stayed in Woodstock during the week and saw Annie and Lily only on the weekends. By law, black train passengers were forced to ride in the train's smoking car among the cigarette fumes. Whew, that smoking car sure smelled nasty. Its stale air was hard to breathe. The smoke was as thick as intolerance. Ida soon grew sick and tired of the second-class treatment she suffered on the trains. She promised herself that she'd fight to change the unfair traveling conditions. She promised herself that one day she'd fight to change the unfair traveling conditions. That day came on May 4th, 1884, when Ida returned to Woodstock after visiting her sisters in Memphis. Ida decided to settle herself on the train in the first-class ladies' coach car, the whites-only car, among non-smokers. When the conductor tried to force her out of her seat, she refused to move. And when the conductor yanked Ida by the arm, she bit his hand. Even when the conductor called over his friends who all tried to move Ida, Ida resisted. Finally, the men dragged Ida, school books and all, toward the smoking car, but Ida wasn't having it. As the train neared the first station stop, Ida gathered her belongings. When the train came to a halt, she quickly got off. But Ida's trip was far from over. Her journey as a freedom fighter had just begun. With the help of a lawyer, Ida launched a civil rights case against Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad. She won her case, and the court awarded her $500. Even though the state Supreme Court later reversed the decision, saying that Ida's behavior on the train warranted harassment by the conductor. Ida's legal battle was a small victory. Ida finally landed a well-paying teaching job in Memphis. She was now a grown woman. Her brothers and sisters were grown too and no longer needed Ida to care for them. This was the first time since Ida's parents had died that she was free to seek out activities that were fun. Ida had more time to write in her diary, to reflect on the childhood that had escaped her, and to think about the years that lay ahead. Ida joined a literary club that published that published a news journal called the Evening Star. The club met each Friday in the Van Street Christian Church. Boy, that club sure made Ida happy. The men and women in the club were Ida's age. Many, like Ida, were teachers who loved reading, writing, lively talks, and hot as blazes debates. The Evening Star struck a special chord in Ida. Its intentions were the same as Ida's had been when she had refused to sit in a railroad car full of cigarette smoke, to speak out and breathe freely under the haze of racism. Ida soon learned that newspapers were an excellent way to carry a message of strength to many people at once. She was appointed editor of the Evening Star, and she continued to work as a teacher while working for the newspaper in the evenings and on the weekends. Ida viewed the Evening Star as a beacon that lit the darkness of bigotry. Through the articles she wrote, she could illuminate acts of discrimination and at the same time provide hope that prejudice would someday end. Several African American newspapers reprinted Ida's articles, and soon people came to know Ida by her pen name, Iola. Ida was a skilled journalist whose writings spoke the truth. Ida's writings made people think, and she knew that the best way to make people act was to push them to the boiling point. Her tell it like it is approach to writing was one of the many reasons the National Press Association named Ida the Princess of the Press. As any true princess would, Ida made some regal moves to suit her status. In 1889, the Colored Press Association elected Ida as their secretary. That same year, Ida purchased a 1/3 share of the Memphis Free Speech and Headlight, a weekly newspaper owned by two men, J.L. Fleming and Reverend Taylor Nightingale, the pastor for one of the largest Black churches in Memphis. Ida served as editor of the Free Speech, and she kept on teaching. She eventually gave up her position as editor of the Evening Star to focus her attention on the work for free speech. The inferior conditions of Black schools in Memphis had bothered Ida for a while. Most Black schools were in poor parts of town, with shabby classrooms and raggedy books. And in some schools, even the teachers were second rate, with no more education than the students themselves. Ida revealed these unfair conditions in an article for Free Speech. Ida's articles caused an angry stir. Many didn't like the way Ida expressed and exposed the ugly realities of Black schools. And it was easier for many people to let educational injustices continue, pretending they didn't exist. As a result of the article, Ida was fired from her teaching job, but I thought it was right to strike a blow against a glaring evil, and I did not regret it, Ida later said. Fortunately, Ida had saved money from her work as a teacher. She bought Reverend Nightingale's share of the Free Speech and became 2/3 owner of the paper, along with L.J. Fleming. Ida devoted herself fully to making the Free Speech a top-notch publication. She worked hard to fill the paper with articles that would inspire people to further the cause for equality. She even printed the newspapers on pink paper that would make people notice. Then in March 1892, a brutal lynching occurred that turned Ida's calling into a crusade. Ida's good friend, Thomas Moss, and two other men, Calvin McDowell and Henry Stewart, owned a grocery store they called the People's Grocery Company. Their store was a Black-owned business nestled in a small Memphis neighborhood near the streetcar tracks. The People's Grocery Company served Black customers mostly, but everyone who needed groceries was welcome. The store was well stocked and clean, and those who worked there were courteous and helpful to the customers, and the prices were good. Folks in Memphis came to appreciate all that the People's Grocery had to offer, and they shopped there regularly. But a white storekeeper named Barrett, whose grocery store was nearby, saw the People's Grocery Store Company as a threat to his business. Back then, a Black person could be shot, hung, hunted, or burned for no reason at all. That's why lynchings was killing an innocent person, often a Black person. That's why lynchings was, or killing an innocent person, often a Black person, who was presumed guilty for breaking the law without giving him credit or her a fair trial. Without giving him or her a fair trial, I'm sorry. In the eyes of some white people, Thomas Moss, Calvin McDowell, and Henry Stewart had committed a horrible crime. They had seceded the business and had posed a threat to a white-owned business. As a punishment, an angry mob took the 3 store owners to an empty brickyard just outside the Memphis city limits and killed them. The lynchings happened on a night darker than the blackest tar, and they set ablaze on Ida's consciousness. Ida wrote a front-page article for Free Speech, condemning the city of Memphis and encouraging Black people to leave town. She was on a mission to expose the cruelties of lynching, to choke it out of existence by reporting its horrors. Ida studied lynching. She went to the places where lynchings had happened and spoke to anyone who's witnessed them. She comforted bereaved wives and children while at the same time collecting details about the crimes. Sometimes those who had done the lynchings bragged about it. Ida put their words to the paper to let readers see the violence for themselves. Ida's lynchings accounts came to the attention of T. Thomas Fortune and Jerome B. Peterson, who owned a newspaper called the New York Age. Fortune and Peterson were familiar with Ida's work and had reprinted in their newspaper several articles that she has written. In 1892, they invited Ida to visit them in New York. Before she left Memphis, Ida wrote a provocative article for the Free Speech, tallying recent lynchings and challenging the myth that Black men are prone to attack white women. Ida's words enraged many readers. While Ida was in New York, an angry mob destroyed the offices of Free Speech. Every sheet of paper, every ink can, every printing press was destroyed. The windows and furniture were smashed too. The vandals threatened the life of Ida's friends and business partner, J.L. Fleming. J.L. quickly left Memphis and never looked back. He wrote to Ida warning her to stay away from Memphis forever for fear that she would be lynched. Ida took a job with the New York Age, but her anti-lynching crusade was far from over. Ida gathered all the facts she collected about lynching and wove them together in an extensive article for the New York Age. The article was published on June 7, 1892. In her writing, Ida held back nothing. She pointed at anyone who was guilty of participating in lynchings, and she cited the exact times and places of the lynchings when the lynchings had unfolded. Thousands of copies were printed and circulated throughout the United States. Soon Ida was called upon by civil rights groups to speak out against lynching. She traveled as far as England, Scotland, and Wales to win support in her fight to stop lynchings in America. When a Black postmaster was lynched in South Carolina in the spring of 1898, Ida went to the White House to present a petition to President William McKinley, asking that the federal government make a greater effort to seek out and punish lynchers. While in Washington, Ida also lobbied Congress to pass a bill that would provide reparations for the postmaster's widow, since the man had been a federal employee. Both the president and members of Congress told Ida that something would be done, but Ida quickly discovered that anti-lynching was not their priority. Ida kept up her fight, though. She was firmly committed to her charge. Ida once said, "The price of liberty is eternal vigilance." Though Ida didn't achieve an end to lynching in her lifetime, the power of her pen never faltered, and her commitment to social justice never waned. For Ida B. Wells Barnett, the price of liberty was a price worth paying for. The end.
That was a great story. When Ida B. Wells' focus and passion kind of pivoted toward lynchings and exposing them, she was considered a muckraker. And I'm going to read the definition of a muckraker. A muckraker was any of a group of American writers identified with pre-World War I reform and expose writing. The muckrakers provided detailed, accurate journalistic accounts of the political and economic corruption and social hardships caused by the power of big business in a rapidly industrializing United States. So anybody who wrote about lynchings or corruption was considered a muckraker, and Ida B. Wells was one of the most well-known muckrakers in American history. Just wanted to share that little fact.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. I love Ida. Her writing has really allowed others, or just like, provided the space for other writers to really express themselves and just share thoughts, especially about the things that really bug you, really bother you. I love about the diary, going back to that, and the diary was mentioned in that passage as well. But just getting your feelings out, writing them out so that you can figure out how to structure and come up with a plan, if you call to action, whatever that may be. It's like, write it down, plan it out.
Yeah. The lynching piece is got me. And back in the day when lynching started after the end of slavery, that's when most of the lynchings happened. It was always business owners that were lynched first because white business owners were threatened by their existence. One of the ones, I don't know if you're ever going to read about Madam C.J. Walker. She's another one who impacted history greatly as well, because based on her business structure, she is the architect of what direct sales is. When you look at Mary Kay, Avon, a lot of the direct marketing sales that came out of Madam C.J. Walker, her business and what she started. But that's great. Does anybody have any questions about the story that Miss Audie read? Any comments? All right, so I guess we're gonna wrap it up. Where's Mr. Moss at?
Great job, everybody. Audie, great story. Ida B. Wells is definitely one of my favorite. She's one of my inspirations behind trying to start a newspaper, and which something I've been doing since I left college back in the late 80s, early 90s. So I'm glad you read that story, and I hope that our viewers got something out of it. She's inspirational. She's one of my sheroes, and I hope she becomes somebody else's shero today. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody, all of our viewers, all the folks who participated on the sidelines, for our incredible readers. Amaya, Myran, Aaliyah, Ayana was on earlier. She'll be back next week. I just got to say thank you, everybody. And for any parents out there, if you want your young people to participate, all you have to do is reach out, and the answer is absolutely yes. With that being said, have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Saturday, everybody.
Peace and blessings, y'all. Have a beautiful day.
Goodbye, everybody. Make today